Hello, everybody. So, good morning. Hope everybody is safe and sound at your end. And no doubt, every individual in this world is suffering from COVID-19, its effects and its ill effects and its side effects. Now, everybody is aware of this disease and its control measures. Whatever they are telling on the television, on the media, and everybody is just following those instructions also. But my topic, I will share you some knowledge about some foodborne other viruses. Of course, COVID-19 is one of those viruses, but foodborne viruses is another very big topic, and you must take care of all those viruses also along with this COVID-19. So what are we call them as foodborne viruses? So what is foodborne virus? Foodborne viruses are those which are transmitted through the consumption of food and beverages, but also in combination with the person-to-person contact or via contamination of the environment. And they are spread through the fecal oral route, and they are shed in high concentration in feces and vomit, and can remain infectious in the environment for several months. These viruses tend to be more resistant to physical and chemical treatments than bacteria, and this makes them highly persistent, so they can remain infective for over a month in food and water, and their control represents a real challenge for the food industry. And these viruses make a significant contribution to the overall burden of foodborne illnesses. Actually, if you see the viruses, what are the viruses? The viruses are very small entities, and they can pass through bacterial filters. These viruses, they are neither living nor non-living. They are in between these categories. And when they find a suitable host cell, they proliferate in that cell and multiply in that cell to produce the pathogenic effects. So when they settle in the plant tissues, they are called as plant viruses. When they settle in the animal tissues, they are called as animal viruses. And when they settle in the human beings, they are called as human viruses. And even bacteria have their own viruses. They can infect bacteria also. But recently, there is a term called zoonotic viruses. Zoonotic means the animal viruses. Actually, these viruses are specific for those tissues. The plant viruses, they cannot travel to the human viruses. Animal viruses, they cannot transmit to the human beings. And bacterial viruses, they cannot come to the human beings. But recently, a trend and shift has been, we call it as reassortment has made, which is called as zoonotic reassortment, in which the animal viruses, they have affected the human beings, and COVID is one of those types of viruses. And how these viruses spread? So the growing population density impacts the environment, and contamination of such environmental sources contain mixture of human and animal pathogens with great potential for introduction into the food chain. So through the uncontrolled routes. So that is why some of the animals, when they enter into the human food chain, they transfer those viruses into the human tissues. And those viruses, they mutate themselves to produce the ill effects in the human beings. And these viruses, they are examples of such type of categories. So we are coming to that. So this is an epidemiological, you can say, chart in which you can see every environment around the community is related, and the viruses, they get introduced into the human chains and human foods. So you can see, you can very well study animals. They can impart the viruses to human communities from healthcare system, from food and water, from environment contamination. So a lot of viruses, they can come into the human food chain. So as far as the structure is concerned, they are submicroscopic entities, 20 to 100 nanometer size, obligate intracellular parasites. Obligate means they are strictly parasites. Intracellular, they only grow in the cell. They cannot multiply outside the host cell. They have no intrinsic metabolism. They cannot even multiply outside. They do not grow on the food, but they are only carried by the foods. They infect us when we eat them along with the foods. They infect the target human cells, cause those cells to manufacture the viruses, break the cells to release the viruses, and further infect the cells to spread the disease. So foodborne viruses have been divided into several families, out of which some are cause of concern to the human beings. These infectious particles, extracellular, when they are present in the outer atmosphere, they cannot cause the disease. I just repeat, they cannot cause the disease when they are in the environment. They will only cause the disease when they enter into your system. And that is called as virion. When they are outside the human tissues, they are called as virions. And virion consists of simply a nucleic acid and a simple protein coat. The nucleic acid may be DNA or RNA, but never it will be both. And some of the viruses, they have some envelope around the protein coat, and those viruses will be called as enveloped, and those which do not have that envelope is called as non-enveloped type of viruses. So based on their size, shape, their nucleus structure or nucleotide composition, their genome structure, their method of replication means method of propagation, the viruses, they can be distributed into different families. And 9 of the families, they are of human concern. 9 of the families. Actually, earlier, our source person, he has said that he gave the example of Columbus. So viruses were known at that time. They were present at that time, but they could. Nobody knew the real structure of those, and nobody knew the real cause of them. So because the virus was not known, the term virus was not known at that time. So you can see the propagation of these viruses. First of all, in your side by left hand side of the right hand side, I don't know which side you are seeing, and you can see, you can compare the size of the virus. A human hair, round about, if it is 80x, the virus, the bacteria cell is around about 1,000th of that human hair, and foodborne virus is around about 1 nanometer, 30 nanometer, round about 30 average. It is an average. It is 1 millionth of 1 millimeter, 1 million times smaller than that of 1 millimeter of the size of, you can compare the size of that virus. So usually their size is 20 to 100 nanometer size. All the foodborne pathogenic viruses, pathogenic disease-causing viruses, they fall in this size category. So you can see the chart. So viruses, they attach the cells. This actually cycle is compulsory in order to propagate these viruses. They attach the human cells, they penetrate the cells, then they replicate their genome. Replicate means they duplicate, they make number of copies of their RNA or DNA in the host tissue, and they assemble the proteins. They utilize the machinery of the host to produce very small, large number of viruses. Ultimately, they break open the cell and they are released into the further bloodstream, and they further, you can say, affect the other tissues, and thereby again and again this cycle goes on, and they produce the disease. So food viruses, you can we can just categorize these one. Some of them, they are they affect the our enteric system. Enteric means in the intestine. Some of them they affect our liver. we call them as hepatotropic. Some of them, they affect our nervous system, we call them as neurotropic. Some of them, they affect our respiratory system, we call them as pneumotropic. And there is one virus, it has multi-type of effects has been seen, and it is very dangerous. It was being discovered, we will come to know in the later part of this lecture. Enterotropic means they affect the intestine. So you can say these one, this is just a chart, and these are the associated diseases. We are just going to, this is a very small portion of that. So these are the 9 families which I told you earlier. So first is the Caliciviridae, Rheoviridae, Adenoviridae, and then it is Astroviridae, Picronaviridae, and hepatitis E is some unclassified, and certain other coronaviruses, they are very much unclassified. Paroviridae, coronaviridae, which were uncharacterized, but now they are just characterizing those ones. So this coronaviridae has caused havoc in our lives throughout the world. And another is the toroviridae, and it is also uncharacterized. I don't know, in the coming time, they may emerge as a first line type of pathogenic type of viruses. So this is just a picture and shows the structure of certain viruses. So these are the 4 types of viruses: rotavirus, adenovirus, norovirus, astrovirus, bird flu. H1N1 is the swine flu, bird flu, swine flu. Then there is Picrona, poliovirus, coronavirus. You know this coronavirus very well. So first we start with the enterotropic virus, which has produced very bad effects earlier in the children. So actually, the knowledge of viruses started, food viruses started with this virus. So it was discovered in 1968 in America, in Ohio, town called Norwalk, and we call it as Norwalk-like virus. We usually compare all these viruses with this virus. So this virus produces sudden onset of severe vomiting and diarrhea. We usually call this as winter vomiting disease. So it started with the children when they were served in school, when they were served with a midday meal, and immediately within 1 or 2 hours they suffered symptoms of vomiting and diarrhea. And whenever they try to characterize those ones, so they could not find the bacteria in their samples. But later on, they found that there is some other kind of microorganism present, and they named that microorganism as Norwalk. Norwalk is the name of the town. So Norwalk-like virus, and later it was called as norovirus. So it appears between 24 to 48 hours, and disease can last for 1 to 3 days. So lot of symptoms it produces: nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, cramps, loose diarrhea, malaise, low-grade fever, muscle pains, and everyone is susceptible to this norovirus: infants, older adults, people. It is very dangerous, and still now lot of people suffer from this virus in America. And every virus, every newly discovered virus is always compared with this virus. So this is called as norovirus, and one of its I usually call it as a cousin virus is called sapovirus. Sapovirus is again of this category. It belongs to Caliciviridae type of virus, and they are very dangerous. And everybody is afraid in America of these types of viruses, and they usually produce very severe type of muscle cramps and diarrhea and watery diarrhea in children as well as in adults. So they usually enter into the food chain through food handlers, some eating the foods like shellfish, vegetables, and fruits from the rivers when they go for just vacations or some holiday, and contaminated toilets, knobs, from air, contaminated environment, from hospitals, nurseries. So person to person transmission is also there. So this is quite a dangerous type of virus, and usually it affects the intestine, and when it affects the intestine, it usually uh, disturbs the physiology of the intestine, which remains for a number of days, and after being recovering from this disease, even that physiology cannot be restored immediately, takes very longer time to recover. So that is why it is dangerous, and one has to take care of this virus. So you can see the preventive measures. Right start from 1968 when they were being formulated. So wash your hand, clean the surface, wash your laundry, use the gloves, stay home when sick. So for every type of viral disease, you need to take care of all these things. Hygienicity is the important. Hygienicity. Every time you need a hygienic type of atmosphere if you want to keep those viruses away from you. Second virus is the rotavirus. Rotavirus was quite prevalent in Punjab also. So in say about in 80s and 90s, so rotavirus uh, was caused very severe pathogenic effects in small children and infants. So this is the structure of a rotavirus. I think this is the detail and technicality. It is a RNA type of virus. It contains RNA genome, and it has proteins on its covering that genome. So rotavirus also acts on the small intestine, produces gastroenteritis, abdominal pain, lot of appetite, a loss of appetite, milk intolerance, diarrhea, vomiting, and fever. So it has affected 2 million people. Usually affects 2 million people annually worldwide, and 4,53,000 children deaths under 5, they die annually worldwide. So you can see, you can compare it with corona. How many have been died? So infected are more in corona, but died they are downward throughout the world. Say 1.5 to 1.7 lakh. So it is 4,53,000 children died. It is a data of 1998. You can say. So after that, no data has been found for this rotavirus. It is a contagious virus and causes inflammation of the stomach and intestine. Infants, young children, most likely to get the rotavirus disease. So children between 6 to 24 months are quite susceptible to this virus. And complications, they can become severely dehydrated, need to be hospitalized, and there is a significant cause of death. 2 million people hospitalized every year annually. It causes severe diarrhea and transmitted through fecal or root, enters mouth through feces or contaminated hands, surfaces, or objects. So you can very well conjecture the control measures for this disease. So you need to wash your hands also. You need to wash your hands. You need to keep that virus away by any means. Everything, whatever you want to take, should be properly cooked. The milk should be properly boiled. Boiled milk, I say boiled, not the pasteurized milk, but the boiled milk. So in the Western countries, they usually take pasteurized milk, not the boiled milk. So this is the global distribution of this rotavirus. You can see the spread of this disease. India, you can see so many red spots are there on India. So India, Africa. So it is a pandemic type. not the endemic, but the pandemic type. So one dot you can see represents around about 250 deaths, and so many deaths occurred in India. So this is you can see it affects the epithelial tissue of the intestine, enters into the tissue, and produces the toxin in those tissues, multiplies in that. So these toxins remain in the system for a very longer time. Body recognizes that toxins, and after you can say it is very hard to shed those toxins from the body. So ultimately, the liver uh, produces certain substances to detoxify those toxins, but it is a very long process to just detoxify these types of toxins of this virus. So again, we need to care of this type of virus, and we must have some knowledge about this. Next is the polio. Polio virus is almost eradicated in India, but it can emerge again and again. We are still having a polio vaccine program, and every 2 3 months they give polio drops to the newly born babies or very small children also. So why this is? It is again a foodborne virus, and infects the human beings through foods after oral ingestion of that contaminated food. It just accumulates in the tonsils. Then it goes into the blood, and from the blood, it cannot directly go into the CNS. It cannot go into the central nervous system or the brain, but it goes into the muscles, where it paralyzes the muscles, and then it goes into the neural pathways in the nerves. It paralyzes all those nerves, and ultimately, when it reaches to brain, it may cause death. So you can see the life cycle of this polio after entering to the body. So it settles in the body, in the intestine, and replicates the cells, increase in number. After that, it goes into the bloodstream, attacks the body. So then it goes into the nerve cells, muscles, nerve cells, paralyzes those nerve cells, and then it goes into the system, again into the blood, and then it goes into the brain. And when it reaches to the brain, ultimately the death occurs. So this is in the brain cell. When they multiply in the brain cell, they produces a lot of toxins in the brain cells, ultimately destroy those brain cells. And when all those brain cells they get destroyed, the death becomes certain in those cases. So this was the 1988 comparison of 1988 and 2018 record. You can see it is almost eradicated in India, and earlier in 1988. So it was just like pandemic, like COVID. It was spread throughout the world. So it is the distribution of polio. You can very well see the comparison of this virus and how can you compare it with the coronavirus also? It is same as that of this coronavirus. Next is the bird flu virus. So you must have noticed this virus also. So it did not cause much of the damage in Punjab also, but we have experienced this one in Punjab also. Again, you can see the structure. Every virus has almost similar structure. So you can compare this structure with coronavirus structure also. So whatever they show on your televisions. So you can see all the viruses almost they have, but when you go into the detail, every virus is different from the COVID virus. So overall morphology is similar. So every virus is, you can say, they are classified on the basis of these two proteins, which is called in the structure hemagglutinin and neuraminidase. So neuraminidase, and we also call it as sialidase. So these two proteins, they are being numbered. So how many proteins they are present on the surfaces? Say H1, N1, H5, N1. So like this one, H2, H7, H7, H9. So like this one. So they give different type of classification to the these viruses. So this is the global distribution of this bird flu virus. So you can see it is similar as that of this coronavirus. So some of the African countries, they did not experience this effect. But overall, you can see China, India, Kazakhstan, and Russia, even Australia also. So all these, they experience this effects and side effects of this bird flu virus. So actually, it started from the shorebirds. They carry this virus. They infected the waterfowl. From the waterfowl, it went to the domestic birds, and then to the primarily to the swines also. And from swines, it reached out to humans. So you can see these viruses from mammals, the swine or the pigs. They are the central points of this avian flu cycle as well as of the swine flu cycle. So both these viruses, they are very dangerous viruses, recent viruses, recently found viruses. They have caused number of deaths in various countries, and thank God, India did not experience much of their effects. And whatever the disease, it reached out to India, it was being controlled with a very nice way. So bird flu dangers, it has a very high mortality rate in human beings. The infection, usually its virus is H5N1 type, and more virulent bird flu virus mutates rapidly and alters its genetic material. Humans are infected by close contact with the live poultry, and in Hong Kong poultries and other Singapore poultries, many of the birds were being slaughtered immediately, and many poultry farms were closed due to this, due to the concern of this virus. Humans have no immunity against this virus. The humans are readily affected by this one, and whatever the symptoms you can see, there is a fatigue, fever, conjunctivitis, sore throat, cough, muscle aches, and when untreated, they rapidly deteriorates, and viral pneumonia occurs, respiratory distress, kidney failure, multi-organ failure, death. So you can see the severity of the damage it causes to the human beings. So human can be infected with this bird flu very readily, and we need to take it. So it has also acquired the status of pandemic. So we also called it as influenza virus. Actually, influenza virus were earlier also being discovered in 1918 to 1919. H1N1, Spanish flu, you can say it caused a lot of deaths. Asian flu, H2N2, 1 to 2 million deaths were occurred. So Hong Kong flu, H3N2, 1 to 2 million deaths were occurred. So you can see humans are affected directly from the poultry, or there may be cycle through the swines also, through the pigs also. So through the pigs, when the infected meat is being taken by the human beings, this virus enters into the body, and various drugs, they are being used to treat this type of virus. So usually they are the neuraminidase inhibitors, which are Tamiflu, Fluivir, Relenza, Zanamivir. So like this one, these are the antiviral drugs which are being consumed nowadays to control. So it has been controlled already. So it hasn't caused much of the damage to Indian people. So how does it works? It enters into the body, moves into the airways and lungs, attacks the cell lines. Then the patient immunity starts to hunt out. So whatever the immunity is there, it goes down immediately with the attack of this virus. And if the person has lot of immunity, it can recover, it can come out of this attack. But if it doesn't, then the whole of the cells of the respiratory system, they are being damaged, and ultimately it causes death. So when whole of the lungs are destroyed, patient will die. So similar is the case with corona also. You can compare. You can by sitting there, you can compare with corona. Whatever you have the knowledge in your minds, whatever you have gained the knowledge, you can just compare those knowledge with these viruses also. So corona may be some advanced type of these virus. So we have controlled this virus. No doubt we will control corona also. So this is the next virus is the swine flu virus. So swine flu virus has caused little damage in India. So it is very dangerous. So earlier in America, South America, and in China, Australia, and India also saw some effects of this virus. So this virus is again a dangerous type of virus, and it is spread through the swines, through the pigs. So it also causes some respiratory disease from the contact with the contact with the pigs, and symptoms in human beings. It's people to people transfer through coughing and sneezing. So now comes the coughing and sneezing, droplet infection. So which is you can compare it with the droplet infection of COVID. So the virus is influenza type. It causes influenza. Influenza means it causes it destroys the respiratory system. So you can see the overall symptoms: running nose, sore throat, fever, lethargy, loss of consciousness, coughing, nausea, diarrhea. So all these are the symptoms. So you can compare it with the COVID symptoms also. They are the same. So it is a new reassortant virus. Sortant virus means its gene has been reassorted in the pigs. Avian flu and swine flu, both they get intermixed with each other, and ultimately a new type of virus emerged, which is called as swine flu virus. And that swine flu virus is now more dangerous than that of that avian, that bird flu virus. So no vaccine is available. It causes the illness in human beings. What are the precautions? Frequently. So you see, already they have produced the guidelines. Frequently wash your hands. Stay home at when you are sick. Cover your mouth while coughing and sneezing. Avoid touching your eyes and nose. So these were the precautions they were advised for the swine flu, which you are using for the corona also. So what are the precautions? Cover your mouth, wash your hands, maintain 1 meter distance, don't shake hands or hugs, kiss or greetings to everyone, dispose of used tissues immediately after using it. And if you have flu-like symptoms, get medical advice immediately. Stay home if infected, refrain from affecting others. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth. So you can see these were the H1N1 type of virus, which was the reassorted type of virus, and it is affecting affecting the human being. And these guidelines were drafted for the swine flu, which you are now using for the corona also. So actually the difference you can see with the swine flu as well as the bird flu. So swine flu spreads quickly as compared to the bird flu. Bird flu takes some time, but has the high casualty rate. Swine flu affects only the respiratory system. Bird flu affects all the systems of the human body. Main symptoms are influenza and swine flu. Bird flu suffers from eyes infections, pneumonia, and others, some severe problems. Whereas swine flu is transmitted from direct contact with the pig's waste matter contaminated by infected people. So, but the bird flu is transmitted by direct contact with the birds, their excretory products contaminated by infected people. Swine flu affects more to the pregnant women. Persons with chronic medical conditions are most vulnerable target for the swine flu influenza, while the small children and rural workers are the soft targets for the bird flu. Swine flu spreads from person to person, but the bird flu spreads very less from person to person. So you can just see the reassortant virus of swine flu and the main bird flu virus. So it has very, you can say, less effects than that of the swine flu. Swine flu is more dangerous than that of bird flu virus. Now we come to this our talk of the town. You can say talk of the word is coronavirus. Coronavirus is a very large family of viruses with the 7 new strains identified in Wuhan. So you very well know it has originated from China. People took the bad soup, and some say that it entered into the pangolin, from pangolin to snakes, snakes to bats, and bats to human beings. So because Chinese people, they took the bat soup, and then it enters into the human food chain. So 219 is a novel coronavirus. We call it as a novel coronavirus. Why we call it a novel coronavirus? Because it is different from other viruses. It has different genome shape than that of other viruses. Actually, if you see the coronavirus, 4 of the coronaviruses, they are a part and parcel of human body. They do not, they generally cause mild effects. Whenever there is a seasonal changes, you usually suffer from common cold. And these coronaviruses are the cause of the common colds. And usually it spreads from person to person. So you very well know that I have the common cold, and a person sitting beside me will definitely will have the common cold if it has, if someone has the low immunity. So 4 of these types of coronaviruses, they are very much part and parcel, and they produce generally mild effect, and they are very easily controlled from, you can say, decades and centuries. They are along with us. But these 3 coronaviruses, the lower ones, one is the SARS coronavirus. It was discovered in 2003 in Asia. And MERS coronavirus, Middle East respiratory syndrome related coronavirus, it was discovered in Middle East. And the COVID-19, which is a novel one, SARS coronavirus 2, it is discovered in 2019, which has caused the pandemic one. So these 3 are the most dangerous one type of the coronavirus, which have produced a lot of disease to the human beings. Let us see. So first is the SARS one. So you can see SARS reported cases were mostly, you can say, in China and in North America. So these 2 countries, these 2 parts of the world, they had some effects of this severe acute respiratory syndrome type of virus. So the coronavirus affected this part of the world, and it was never spread to other parts of the world. So what were the telltales of these outbreak? Its incubation period was from 2 to 10 days, high fever, more than 38 degrees, muscle aches, dry cough, headache, muscle stiffness, loss of appetite, malaise, confusion, rash, diarrhea. And in the later stages, it was shortness of breath or breathing difficulties, changes in the chest x-rays, pneumonia, and in the final stages, inflammation of the lungs, which triggers off the lung failures. Lung is no longer lung is no longer able to exchange the air breath in. So you can see they have similar symptoms as that of this coronavirus. So next was the MERS virus. It was also reported in Middle East countries. So you can see it is also called as camel flu. And camel flu has same type of symptoms: dry cough, shortness of breath, breathing difficulties, pneumonia, gastrointestinal symptoms, and kidney failures. And the cluster of human-to-human transmission have been found, and no sustained community transmission was observed in this case. So it is related to the camel in the Middle East and never came out of this Middle East to other parts of the world. So but its mortality rate was very high. Most of the cases which were found, most of the people died because of this virus. So whatever the you can say symptoms, they were the pneumonia, cough, diarrhea, headache, high fever, and the preventive measures you can just see mask and washing your hand, cleaning, disinfectants, all these ones they were, and it was also you can say transmitted from bats to the camels. So bats usually when they suck the blood of camels, they shed those viruses into the camels. So if you see the virus replication cycle, it just goes into this issues of the say animals or human beings, and whatever the medicine we take like amantadine and zanamivir, it usually affects at some places at the DNA sites or some replication sites in order to recover the patients. Same is this case with the pathogenesis. Next is the hantavirus. You must have seen this hantavirus also. So it had never reached to the human India, and it also produces similar type of effects like chills, fever, muscle aches, dry coughs. Virus is found in the rodent feces. So first of virus which is related to the rats. So infected feces becomes this virus becomes airborne, and when it is being inhaled by the human beings, it produces acute respiratory distress syndrome, ARDS syndrome, and which quickly worsens to produce the death. Nipah virus was discovered in India also. It is also from the bats. So it is also a zoonotic virus from animal to human being transfer. So you can see mostly it is found in India as well as Australia and very less part in the world. So usually the bats they eat the palm sap. So when that sap was being taken by the human beings, it usually enters into the food chain. And a lot of cases have been discovered in Kerala and in Siliguri, West Bengal. Major outbreaks were in Bangladesh also, and by drinking raw date palm sap. So breathing troubles and inflammation of the brain also. So disorientation and delirium, it causes death. Disorientation of the brain tissues, it affects the brain, nervous tissues. So its advice is don't mingle closely with the domestic animals, because the bats, when they cut the domestic animals, sucks the blood of those. And be careful while taking the mangoes, jackfruits, and rose apples, so which are frequently eaten by the bats. So same is the life cycle. These bats, they usually affect the human beings through fruits and vegetables, and then they also suck the blood of animals, say pigs, and when those pigs or meat is being taken by the human beings, immediately causes the death of these human beings. Ebola is one of the virus which is being discovered in Africa, and has caused number of deaths. Its mortality rate is around about 90%, and it doesn't give. Usually, it is said that doesn't give time to the patients to recover, and usually the patient dies within weeks. So infection is named after the river in Congo, Ebola. So when you come in contact with the infected animal through animal foods, when they are being taken, the Ebola enters into the body, and usually no standard treatment is there. Sick persons, they are being isolated, but that is of no use. Usually the person dies because of diarrhea and vomiting and headache and nervous tissue disorders. So these are simply secondary hosts like chimpanzees and antelopes and pigs. Where those people, they eat these meats of these people, these animals also. So that is why this is being spread to the African countries. So these are the symptoms. No vaccine is available. Usually the incubation period is 2 to 21 days, and it is being diagnosed by RT-PCR. So these are the analytical options. Usually these viruses, they are diagnosed with the help of RT-PCR, PCR, and sequencing techniques, NGS techniques. So in this case, the sample is taken and clarified, concentrated. Some detection is done with the help of RT-PCR or PCR. So these are the only methods available nowadays in order to identify these viruses. This is the the pros and cons of every method. These are the cost. Cost is the main factor in this one. Cost is the main disadvantage of these factors. Moreover, advantage, they are the correct ones. You have to compare it with the other one. These are some of the viruses which always are present in your intestine. So enteroviruses, hepatoviruses. So earlier I told you these types of viruses, and usually they are RNA containing viruses, and a very small number is the DNA containing virus. Usually they cause vomiting and diarrhea at the first instance, and then the other disorders in the are produced, like paralysis, or you can say hepatic or liver infections, or other pneumonic infections. Now, how to control this one? Salt is these are the certain researches taken.
Sir, it is requested to kindly conclude it, sir.
Salt and pH control is the fermentation time. They usually then thermal treatment is also, a temperature should always be more than that of 72 degrees centigrade. Up to 95 degrees centigrade will kill those viruses. Heat treatment is the main one. Of course, high pressure cooking is again another method by which you can kill all those viruses. So irradiation method, some irradiated onions and potatoes, they are also available. You can use those one also. So some light-based technologies are also there. Some pulse electric field like this one. Some light UV light technologies are also there. So which could be used for that. Sanitizers, you can wash your fruits and vegetables with chlorinated waters, or some acetic acid waters, peroxyacetic acid waters, which can kill those viruses. So usually these viruses, they remain on hands for several hours, on surfaces for several months. They are present on the foods also for several days, and in frozen conditions they can remain for a longer time, even months. So we can say that foodborne disease is a significant cause of the illness, which is a true burden, which is difficult to estimate. And when it comes to the food safety, everybody should agree with me that food has become safer than ever, and we need to make it more safer and safer. And potential contamination with pathogenic bacteria is recognized, and it is aimed in reducing the burden of foodborne illnesses. Though corona is there, but corona, apart from corona, these viruses also are running parallel along with corona. You must take care of this corona. So when you are taking care of those one, definitely corona will automatically eliminate from your system. So some legislation are prepared which support the countries. Guidelines have been developed for the foods also, in order to clean the foods, in order to avoid the pathogens from these viruses. Thank you very much.